Hey guys, it's Milo back with another video, and today I'm going to be modding my mechanical keyboard. This is the Akko 3068, and it's kind of like a 65% keyboard, but it has a few extra keys. I'm going to be spray lubing it, I'm going to put some foam inside of it, and I'm also going to be modding the stabilizers. So let's get straight into the video. The tools I recommend having is a bowl to keep your keycaps in. That's just so you can stay organized and you won't have them scattered all over the place. Then I recommend having a screwdriver or some kind of toolkit. I personally have an iFixit kit, and this works perfectly for me because it has all sorts of different bits. It has tweezers so I can apply the lube, and it also has guitar picks inside of it, and that's for removing the case off of certain types of keyboards. And then it comes with all sorts of other tools for like building PCs and fixing phones. And then I recommend having spray lube for lubing your switches if they're soldered in place. And I don't know the exact name for it, but it is in the link down below. It's an Amazon link and I make commission off of that. And then I recommend having a switch puller and a keycap puller. If your keyboard's soldered in place, you don't need the switch puller, but it's always nice to have laying around. And then also, I recommend having dielectric grease or some kind of thick lubricant for the stabilizers. And that really just helps all the rattliness, and it just makes your stabilizers feel like 100% better. So right now, I'm just removing all of my keycaps and then putting them in the bowl behind me. And lastly, I take the spacebar off with 2 thumbs because it's really difficult to do that with a keycap puller unless if you have 2 of them that you can have in each hand. But honestly, using 2 thumbs doesn't damage the keyboard or anything, so I would definitely recommend that. And right now, I'm just unscrewing all of the screws from the keyboard. I also recommend having that in a bowl because it helps you stay organized and not lose them. And also, you can see there's a screw that has a quality control sticker on it, and you may think that they won't give you a refund if that has been tampered with, but actually that is illegal, and there's some kind of law protecting consumers from companies enforcing that. So if you do destroy that sticker from unscrewing this keyboard, you can still get a refund up until a year from now. And of course, the warranty period depends on the manufacturer, but that's what I read from this keyboard. And right now I'm removing the PCB, and this is a Bluetooth keyboard, so there is a little wire on the bottom that I would really recommend being careful about because you don't want to accidentally break that. And right now I'm foam modding the keyboard, and that just helps absorb all the echo and reverb inside of the keyboard, and it just makes it sound a whole lot better. And I would recommend using a higher quality foam if you want your keyboard to sound perfect, but right now I'm just using basic packaging foam, and it works, but it's not perfect. I'm mostly doing this for demonstration purposes. If this was my everyday keyboard, I would definitely buy the right quality foam on Amazon. And also, you want to poke holes in the foam for the standoffs, and that's just so you can get your screws back in place. And right now, I'm going to be connecting the wire back to the PCB and then screwing it back on. And also, there is a little switch at the bottom of the keyboard that you want to be careful of, because if there's foam interfering with that in the PCB, then you won't be able to turn the Bluetooth on and off. So yeah, definitely watch out for that, because that would be an annoying thing to look over. Also, when you're screwing this back up, I really recommend being careful with it and not over tightening it, because some of these keyboard manufacturers use really bad quality screws, and I have shipped way too many keyboards in the past. So right now I'm taking my tweezers and I'm dipping that in my dielectric grease so I can lube the stabilizers, and that's because this keyboard is soldered in place. If it was hot swap, I would take the switch out and then I'd pull the stabilizers out. Then I would balance the stabilizer wire and then lube it, but obviously I can't do that. So I'm just sticking the toothpick in where the wire is underneath the stabilizer, and that just, it lubes it up as much as I can. Also, a great alternative to the tweezers is a toothpick, and I've also seen a YouTuber by the name of Wildcat use this like bristled brush that's really skinny, and that works perfectly because you can get the lube evenly and you aren't just kind of shoving it in with the tweezers. And I also just recommend trying to keep an even amount of lube on each wire so it doesn't feel mushy on one and then underlubed on the other. And the tweezers that I'm using is really sharp, so I'm putting back the safety like cover on it, and I'm just putting away my lube. Gotta stay tidy. So now I have my spray lube and I'm using the red nozzle that came with it. I've also seen somebody using a thicker tube so they can lube both of the stems at the same time, but I feel like that's pretty messy and you're gonna get lube everywhere, and also that's more likely to like over lube. And also spray lubing can destroy your switches. I have heard of it in the past. So over lubing is definitely bad. It makes it mushy and it can destroy it, so you definitely don't want to do that. And now I'm putting on gloves so that I can keep this stuff off of my hands. I'm not sure if it's toxic, but there is a possibility. And basically, to lube this, you press down the stem and then you put the nozzle towards the slider. And then I basically wiggle the nozzle around until I can barely see lube pouring into the slider. And you really want to be careful with this, because if you press it down all the way, then you're going to mess up and you're going to get lube all over the place, and then that's going to drown your switch. So I would recommend practicing the pressure on the nozzle for some random switches that aren't a part of the keyboard, and then you can use it on your own keyboard. I was really careful and I did drown a couple of switches, but I didn't notice any mushiness when I bottomed out the switch, so that is a good sign. And you also want to lube both sliders. I don't know if I mentioned that. You basically flip the keyboard around and then lube the other side of the switch, and also shake the bottle a couple of times every few switches just so it stays even. And then I just start putting the keycaps back on after I test all of the switches and make sure that all of them are fine. I think if you do overlube one of them, you can just kind of like flip the keyboard upside down, have the stem pressed in, and it's possible the lube will drain out. I'm not really sure about that, but there's a possibility. So I'm just putting the keycaps back on, and here's a sound test. It does sound a bit high pitched and not too different than before mods, but this keyboard was amazing stock and I thought it might have been pre-lubed, but I just wanted to have the experience of doing this myself. If you enjoyed this video, then please feel free to like and subscribe. It means a lot to me, and peace out guys. Thanks for watching.